Hi guys, I'm back with a new video and let's talk about Boy Kills World. I know I'm kinda late with this film, but unfortunately it only came out here in Portugal right now. So preferably I like to see films on the big screen in a theater. So I always wait for them to come out in a theater. So this was one of those cases, and so we are only having this review now. But in hindsight, I actually didn't see a lot of people talk about this film. I kind of understand why now that I've watched it, but I don't know, the marketing for this film wasn't the strongest. And even here in Portugal, they only had like a small premiere for a very exclusive group of people. I was able to go, so I'm happy that I did. But I was gonna watch it regardless. So, without further ado, let's get to the video. So, if you don't know what Boy Killed World is about, this sort of looked like the Hunger Games. This is set in a dystopian world where this rich family kills their enemies in a television event. Every year they choose a number of people, and this is about a boy whose family is killed. He's one of the chosen ones to be killed. And so this boy, when he gets older, he goes after the head of the family, just after revenge. It's a pretty simple story, and the main focus of this film is the action. But I'll get more into that. So what made me really want to watch this film is the cast. This stars Bill Skarsgård as well as Jessica Roth and other actors that I've seen their faces, some of them, but they're not really familiar to me. I know I've seen their faces, I just don't know from where. But the main two actors for me are Bill Skarsgård, obviously, and Jessica Roth. And post that, let's get to my thoughts. So what stands out in the film, as I said, is the action, and the action is a lot of fun. This whole film is a lot of fun, is action, thriller, comedy. There's a ton of comedy elements in this film. But it's primarily an action film. There's tons, there's basically non-stop action, which I liked, and I had fun with it. It's nothing really deep, it's just a lot of good action. And this film kind of reminded me of other three films. It reminded me of Atomic Blonde, Kingsman, and Guns Akimbo. Atomic Blonde more for the aesthetic. There's some shots that are really visually good. They set the world, so I think that's similar to Atomic Blonde, the world building as well as action. Obviously Atomic Blonde has a lot of action as well. Kingsman, because something that really stood out to me when I first watched Kingsman was the fact that it was an action film that didn't shy away from all the gory moments, and that's exactly what happens here. I'm pretty sure this is an R-rated film because the gore is in full view, you totally see everything that happens, and personally I really like that. I like when action films aren't afraid to show the gore and show the nasty stuff, and that's exactly what happens here. And Guns Akimbo for the choreography, there's a really stylized way that they choreographed the fight sequences, and Guns Akimbo is also pretty gory if I remember well. So this film kind of mixes those three, and because of that, I would say if you liked any of these films, I'm pretty sure you will like this one if you haven't seen it yet, because I bet most of you have already seen it, but maybe it flew under your radar because, as I said, I didn't see a lot of people talk about this one. So, yeah, I'm bringing it up to light again, and maybe you'll give it a chance because it is a lot of fun, and it's a short film if I'm not mistaken. I don't know exactly the runtime, but it didn't feel like a long film, so it's fun and it's entertaining and it's an easy watch. As far as the story goes, the story really isn't the focus of the film. As I said, it's the action, but the story does go in a different direction that I wasn't expecting. There's obviously a climax, and there's some things in the end that I wasn't expecting and that caught me by surprise. So I like that, even though I saw some people say that it was kind of predictable. To me, it wasn't. I wasn't expecting it, so yeah. And lastly, I do have to talk about the acting because the main reason why I wanted to watch this film was Bill Skarsgård, and I was a little bit like thrown off when I realized he wasn't gonna have any lines in the film, so he has no lines. It's almost like Furiosa in the way that he had to act with only his body language and with his face. And on that regard, I think he was perfect. He was so good. Obviously, he had some help with the narration. So the film has a narrator who is Bill Skarsgård's character. I don't think he has a name. I think he's only credited as Boy. So he is the boy that kills the world, but it's not Bill Skarsgård's voice that narrates the film. So there's another actor that narrates the film, and that wasn't my favorite thing. Not that I wanted Bill Skarsgård narrating the film. Sometimes the narrator was just a little bit much, a little bit cringy, and I don't know if the film would be better without the narration, but I didn't personally love the narration either, so I'm curious. I would like to see this film without the narration, or at least without as much narration than what it has, because there's a lot of narration in the film, which, as I said, helps Bill Skarsgård act and helps us understand his like body language and his reactions. But sometimes it's too much, and I wish it like relied a lot more on Bill Skarsgård alone. But that's basically my main complaint with the film. It's not a deep film, as I said, but I really enjoyed the action. I liked the story. It was fun and entertaining and easy to watch. It has like a twist at the end. Yeah, there's something that we need to figure out, or there's something more to this story. It's a pretty basic story, so there's something at the end that's interesting. And also there's a post-credit scene which doesn't add much, but it's nice to watch. And yeah, I liked it. I had fun with it. And as I said, if you liked any of the other 3 films that I've mentioned, Atomic Blonde, Kingsman, and Guns Akimbo, you will like this one, I'm pretty sure. Post that, let's get to my scores. So overall, I'm gonna give the film a 3.5 out of 5. It's nothing deep, but what it achieved and the intention behind the film was just something light and fun and entertaining with great action and like gory action, like really violent action. And they achieved that, so yeah, I think 3.5, it's a pretty fair score. As far as cinematography goes, I think I'm gonna give it a 3.5 as well. I think the fight sequences were really well choreographed. Again, I love that they show all the gore and there's tons of it. And yeah, originality. I think I'm gonna give it a 2.5. like in the middle, because I compared it to 3 films, so it's not super original, but it's original in the way that there's not a lot of films, like action films, that do what this one does, which is, as I said again and again, like full on like action, violent action that shows everything, and that it's well choreographed. Obviously there's a ton of action films that are well choreographed, like John Wick, for example, but John Wick isn't as isn't as graphic. They definitely don't shy away from showing a lot of the gore, but this is another level. So I think this is way more similar to Kingsman and Guns Akimbo in terms of the gore. So yeah guys, these are my thoughts on Boy Kills World. I'm really curious, have you seen the film already? Please let me know in the comments if you have. If you haven't, let me know if you just didn't hear anything about the film and that's why you didn't watch it, or you're just not really interested in this film. Tell me everything in the comments. And yeah, if you like the video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you're not subscribed yet, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!